John Solomon is a journalist who goes after the big stories. He leans conservative but speaks the truth no matter who it hurts. In this case, that is one Barack Obama. This is what we know for certain. Obama and his team took the Russia investigation from the FBI and spread it out through the intel community and other official agencies to guarantee Trump could not shut it down. That is what they said at the time, to protect it. Obama and his team publicly bragged about doing this. The media ate up calling it a genius move. They declassified certain things and got other memos and evidence introduced into official records and in other ways made sure that what the FBI found would spread throughout the government, making it impossible for Trump to shut it down. That was their story, but what really happened was it led to leak after vicious leak with cherry-picked facts that looked bad but were really innocent. Which many suspect was the true intent all along. Use the slow drop method of leaking damaging information without releasing the proof of innocence to a complicit or just lazy media to destroy the new administration. This is a betrayal, any way you slice it. These selective leaks allowed the media to basically call Trump a traitor and worse. Whether the media knew they were getting played, or whether they were complicit matters not. The leaking is where it started, and we need to know if that was the plan along, to create and slow drip a fake scandal. Remember, the whole nation was consumed by this story for near 2 years. And if so, did it all start with this? Solomon wrote, as Donald Trump began his meteoric rise to the presidency, the Obama White House summoned Ukrainian authorities to Washington to coordinate ongoing anti-corruption efforts inside Russia's most critical neighbor. The January 2016 gathering, confirmed by multiple participants and contemporaneous memos, brought some of Ukraine's top corruption prosecutors and investigators face-to-face with members of former President Obama's National Security Council, NSC, FBI, State Department and Department of Justice, DOJ. The agenda suggested the purpose was training and coordination. But Ukrainian participants said it didn't take long, during the meetings and afterward, to realize the Americans' objectives included 2 politically hot investigations, one that touched Vice President Joe Biden's family and one that involved a lobbying firm linked closely to then-candidate Trump, U.S. Officials kept talking about how important it was that all of our anti-corruption efforts be united, said Andrei Tilizenko, then a political officer in the Ukrainian embassy in Washington tasked with organizing the meeting. Tilizenko, who no longer works for the Ukrainian embassy, said U.S. officials volunteered during the meetings, one of which was held in the White House's old executive office building, that they had an interest in reviving a closed investigation into payments to U.S. figures from Ukraine's Russia-backed Party of Regions. That 2014 investigation was led by the FBI and focused heavily on GOP lobbyist Paul Manafort, whose firm long had been tied to Trump through his partner and Trump pal, Roger Stone. Agents interviewed Manafort in 2014 about whether he received undeclared payments from the party of ousted Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, an ally of Russia's Vladimir Putin, and whether he engaged in improper foreign lobbying. The FBI shut down the case without charging Manafort. Tilizenko said he couldn't remember whether Manafort was mentioned during the January 2016 meeting. But he and other attendees recalled DOJ officials asking investigators from Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau, NABU, if they could help locate new evidence about the Party of Regions payments and its dealings with Americans. It was definitely the case that led to the charges against Manafort and the leak to U.S. media during the 2016 election, he said. That makes the January 2016 meeting one of the earliest documented efforts to build the now-debunked Trump-Russia collusion narrative and one of the first to involve the Obama administration's intervention. Spokespeople for the NSC, DOJ and FBI declined to comment. A representative for former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice did not return email seeking comment. Solomon continued, Nazar Kolodyan-Whitesky, Ukraine's chief anti-corruption prosecutor, told me he attended some but not all of the January 2016 Washington meetings and couldn't remember the specific cases, if any, that were discussed, but he said he soon saw evidence in Ukraine of political meddling in the U.S. election. Kolodyan-Whitesky said the key evidence against Manafort, a ledger showing payments from the Party of Regions, was known to Ukrainian authorities since 2014 but was suddenly released in May 2016 by the U.S.-friendly NABU. After Manafort was named Trump's campaign chairman, somebody kept this black ledger secret for 2 years and then showed it to the public and the U.S. media. It was extremely suspicious. Kolodyan-Whitesky said he explicitly instructed NABU investigators who were working with American authorities not to share the ledger with the media. Look, Manafort's case is one of the cases that hurt me a lot, he said. I ordered the detectives to give nothing to the mass media considering this case. Instead, they had broken my order and published themselves these 1 or 2 pages of this black ledger regarding Paul Manafort. For me it was the first call that something was going wrong and that there is some external influence in this case. And there is some other interests in this case not in the interest of the investigation and a fair trial, he added. Kostyantin Kulik, deputy head of the Ukraine Prosecutor General's International Affairs Office, said that, shortly after Ukrainian authorities returned from the Washington meeting, there was a clear message about helping the Americans with the Party of the Regions case. Yes, there was a lot of talking about needing help and then the ledger just appeared in public, he recalled. The other case raised at the January 2016 meeting, he said, involved Burisma Holdings, a Ukrainian energy company under investigation in Ukraine for improper foreign transfers of money. At the time, Burisma allegedly was paying then Vice President Joe Biden's son Hunter as both a board member and a consultant. More than $3 million flowed from Ukraine to an American firm tied to Hunter Biden in 2014-15, bank records show. Telizhenko said U.S. officials told the Ukrainians they would prefer that Kyiv drop the Burisma probe and allow the FBI to take it over. The Ukrainians did not agree. But then Joe Biden pressured Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko to fire Ukraine's chief prosecutor in March 2016, as I previously reported. The Burisma case was transferred to NABU, then shut down. Let's block ads. Why?